Okay, this is the engine bay inspection of the 2022 Subaru Impreza Sport. Coming back right away, it has been cleaned. It didn't start out very dirty to begin with, but there is a little bit of kind of a detail grease in here. Typically, I don't like to see that. It collects dirt, collects dust deposition over time. It doesn't really cause that much of a problem. It just can kind of get everywhere. It attracts dust, so I typically don't like to see it. I wouldn't recommend that keep getting done. Typically that can mean a sign of a reconditioning or a cleaning, a deep cleaning, like something maybe kind of to hide. And so what I'm looking for in that case is oxidation on any of the aluminum surfaces or the bolts or the steel, or particularly on the terminals for the battery. So I'm not seeing that. The vehicle has about 13,000 miles on it, so that's pretty typical of the age of this vehicle if it was cared for. We're not seeing any oxidation on there. So this might just be indicative of just you get a car detailed and it's part of the detail package rather than a reconditioning or a cleanup. The seller did disclose the vehicle does have a rebuilt title, and it was involved in a collision in the front left of the vehicle as well as the rear. We'll talk about the rear later, but we did document that there's a little bit of a difference here in this was re-welded or reattached right here. You can kind of see where they added in the replacement metal. It was very well done. So we're seeing this more and more as labor and parts, materials, and the cost of vehicles become so high that even a vehicle with significant damage can be professionally repaired to the point where it's almost impossible to know that it was in an accident, and only through the legalities of the repair is it documented that it's rebuilt. If you didn't point this out, it would be very easy to miss this. We looked down deeper into the frame rail, we looked down deeper, didn't see any damage. Everything's been professionally repaired. We looked at that little kind of crush rail right there, along with the main rail right here, the frame rail. There's no deviations there as well. So you can tell the smack came in here, but this was all redone. I mean, even this piece right here has been professionally, it's not missing. It didn't get deep enough into the struts. This kind of urethane stuff here, that's factory. You can't replicate that that's a robotic arm that comes along and runs that urethane there. So if it gets up into that, you try to straighten it, that's probably where they would have totaled the car. So from here to here, that's a rebuild. From here on, totaled. So I'm not seeing any concerns with that. And this, like I said, is becoming more and more common. We're seeing this more and more in our inspections of vehicles that have declared rebuilt titles that were involved in collisions that come back very professionally repaired, and that's what we're seeing here in the front end. Not documenting any issues with wiring, not documenting any corrosion, leaks, the engine bay, no smells in here, all original components. It's a hot day. We're taking this video right after a pretty spirited drive on the highway to stress test the engine, and we're not getting any smells in here. So I'm going to go ahead and give the engine bay a 100% clean bill of health, and I'd very much like to see this. So thank you. This is the exterior inspection of the 2022 Subaru Impreza. So again, the seller did declare that the accident on the vehicle had a collision here and a collision in the back. So we're going to check for those two things. So there is a very minor deviation in the refitting of the front bumper cover. It's very, very minor. It's also very, very common. If you had a millimeter or two deviation in some mount up here, and this connects to this, which connects to this, which connects to this. So if you can fix everything up to a few millimeters, but that accumulation ends up being to where you have this just slight deviation right there. There's nothing broken here. The clips are nice and solid. There's no looseness on this whatsoever, so I'm not concerned. So like when these clips pop out like that, this bumper cover's been off before, maybe more than one time. So what you'd end up having is they wear out, these clips wear out, but they're not broken. So that's actually how you would disassemble, is you reach in there and pull it off. So I'm not concerned with that, especially in regards to the collision repair. So we're going to walk the vehicle following back to driver. We're going to check for panel gaps. We're checking our hood gap right here, make sure it's square with the quarter panel. Checking A-pillar right here, looking for paint differences, deviations right there. I'm going to tell you the paint matching here is really good. So we're going to follow and see how much they painted down the car, but I'm looking at the texturing, looking at the metallic flake, and near as makes no difference. It is very hard to tell that there's accident that came into this portion of the vehicle, even though we have documented it in the core support right here that leads over, well, the headlamp support that leads over to the core support. So let's walk the vehicle looking for deviations in paint, metallic flake. Moving back to B-pillar B-pillar is square. Checking rocker arms, making sure nothing's hanging down right there. That's square. No high centering, no curbing. That's square. Following a C-pillar, looking along this as well. Square. Going back to rear bumper cover. A little bit of play in that. That's acceptable, normal. Moving back around. Square. Again, this is reflective on a vehicle that's had 13,000 miles on it. So rear end collision was documented by the seller, disclosed. So we're looking for any witness marks or anything on these. It looks like these bolts probably have had a socket on them. Let's check and see if we've got two different styles of bolts over here. We do. So we've got this style of bolt. Let's get that camera to focus. Apologies. There. So those look the same. Let's walk over here. Those do not. That one's different. So this has been off. You can kind of see a little bit of scrape or witness mark here. Again, very common during a repair. Check up here. Check for any witness marks up here. Yeah, we got some scrapes on the bolts right here. Scrapes, scrapes, scrapes. So again, professionally done, but it has been off. So this hatch has been replaced, or it has been off the vehicle. Walking around, checking left rear bumper cover. We're going to pull right here. Okay, that's square, that's good. C-pillar, rear passenger square. There's a little bit of clear coat marring right here. You can kind of sort of see it in the shine. Polish will probably take that right out. Walking to B-pillar, square. Walking to A-pillar, square. Now I'm gonna walk the hood. I wanna look for deviations between here. We're looking at maybe 3 millimeters or so. I'm gonna follow that around. We're gonna follow the seam all the way around. Coming around. Okay. No concerns there. I'm going to go ahead and give the exterior a pass, and I'm pleased to see this level of professional repair. Thank you. Okay, this is the underbody inspection of the 2022 Subaru Impreza. So I will just go ahead and say right away in the video, I didn't find much. Again, 3 years old. Seller disclosed it was a Seattle purchased car. Not seeing any rust on here. It's got 13,000 miles on it. It's right in line with its age. Looking for signs of high centering, damage to the exhaust, walking up the vehicle, looking at pinch weld damage. That's this rail here, and I'm sorry it's a bit dark to see, but that's where you lift the vehicle. So I'm not seeing anything improperly lifted here on the vehicle. All the urethane, all the trim pieces are still there. The arrow is still there, no concerns there, no leaks. This is an all-wheel drive vehicle, so I'm gonna be looking for leaks all down the drivetrain. We're checking the front of the vehicle, missing componentry. Now look at that. That's a bright bolt right there, and that would belie the, that would tell us about the front end repair. So not a concern that it's a bright bolt, but you know, that's not a old bolt, you know, 3 years old. It's nice and shiny, so something to look for. Shiny bolts when you see other bolts aren't so shiny. Okay, moving to driver front. Let's see, checking control arms, no concerns there. Checking for rust. Transmission pan is dry. Front belly pan splash shield is dry. Walking the vehicle, looking at the pinch weld, looking at arrow, looking for signs of scraping, drips. Again, high centering on the driver's side, not seeing anything. Walking to the back, we're gonna check the rear differential casing if we can see it. The exhaust is nice and shiny. Yep, there's our differential casing. Sorry, it's kind of, that's just to the drain and fill bolts, very easy to service. Exhaust is nice and rust-free. The control arms, the lower control arms are nice and rust-free. And I was able to spot the rear end damage, at least part of what was left. So this is something we've documented in other videos where you check, there's a foil sheet that sits above the canister exhaust. They're very, very fragile, and they're not necessarily need to be replaced. It's just a thermal kind of foil sheet for the exhaust. And you can see all along it, it's been hammered straight. It's been repaired. Again, not a problem. And you can kind of tell there's been some hammering and reshaping of the rear end where the spare tire sits. So the accident, if I had to guess, was probably about this far in, right up to about here, kind of pushed up in here. So this has all been repaired. Now, if we look under here, let me see if I can see it. I can see it pretty easily on my inspection mirror, but you can kind of see where the difference in the patina for the rear crash rail, there's a bumper crash rail, and where that meets the actual frame of the vehicle is different. It's shinier, it's newer, it's been replaced. You can very easily see that right there. And I'm not concerned about that, and I'll tell you why. Because the work has been professionally done. This vehicle was pushed in. That bumper crush rail did exactly what it's supposed to do. It took the impact, it crumpled up to the point of the frame rails, and the whole back end of this car has been probably repaired. Good. I'm not concerned with that. It was professionally done. So we will document that, that this vehicle has had collision repair in the front and rear, and I'm pleased to see that it was professionally done. We don't see that all the time. So we're gonna walk around. Okay. Wheels came back clean as well. Underbody gets a pass, thank you. This is the interior inspection of the 2022 Subaru Impreza. I've already been front to back on this vehicle, no concerns. Interior has no signs of abuse. It reflects its mileage, 13,692 miles at the point of this video. The driver's information system works as it should. All driver's controls work as they should. Infotainment works as it should. Kind of our upper kind of driver information system up there, you know, temperature, miles per gallon, clock, that all works as it should. HVAC system works as it should. Driver facing controls like wing mirrors and rear view mirror works as it should. Sunroof works as it should. Everything in this cabin works as it should for a vehicle that has been well cared for at 13,000 miles. There's no signs of abuse. It has a complete rubberized floor mat set. There's no damage to any of the leather componentry on that, no damage or wear on the seats, and the back seats as well look just fine. It's very easy to give this interior a clean bill of health. Thank you very much. Okay, this is the trunk inspection of the 2022 Subaru Impreza wagon sport, and let's check it out. So we've got our rubberized floor mat. It's complete. So right away I'm going to tell you that this interior is complete. The trunk is complete. It's got our kind of privacy curtain here that works. We've got floorboard, no damage or mess under here, no scrapes, significant scrapes. You got a little bit of luggage marks here, no big deal. So let's pull this up and I'll show you what I've been able to find. So good news, we do have a complete safety kit. Subaru's big on safety. It does not appear to even have been used. It might have been accessed, but I'm not seeing a lot of scrapes on it. Looks like the it does not appear to have been used. Now, it's kind of hard to see on the camera here, but you can see there, so it's been hammered out. So on both sides, this trunk has been kind of hammered out, possibly maybe repainted. Again, not really concerned about that. Seems to be fairly professionally done, especially on the underneath. They reshaped the metal and they returned the car to service. But there is a documentation of some collision damage right there. Not a concern to me. The trunk gets a clean bill of health. Thank you. This is the code scan portion of the 2022 Subaru Impreza inspection. Right away, nothing came back. We did have a small historical previous code set for keyless access with push start. No concerns there. That system functioned as it should. This could be a historical code or an errant code. That's not indicative of a computer or electrical problem at this time. Not something that I would be concerned with from an inspector technician's point of view. What I'm typically looking for, if you have a lot of clear systems, would be if there's misperformance on the highway, transmission problems, things like that. That wasn't documented. The car performed very well during the test drive. We run that car through hard acceleration, deceleration, up and down on the throttle. We want to try to confuse the transmission, confuse the throttle, cause massive changes in the fuel air systems of the vehicle. We want to kind of stress test those systems to see if anything pops back, or we can kick a code on the dash, or we can make the transmission misbehave. Did not have any problems with that, did not misbehave. That reflects its mileage. It's got 13,000 miles on it and it's 3 years old. So again, when these systems come back pretty clear, it always typically wants me to raise a red flag. I wonder why they're so clean, but that's reflected in the vehicle, 3 years old and 13,000 miles. So no concerns here in the code scan portion of the video. Thank you very much. This is the conclusions video for the 2022 Subaru Impreza. Right away, the only thing to document is the collision damage. From an inspector's point of view, I'm really impressed. We've run across this before. We've seen some later year cars or some higher value cars that have had some significant collision damage and was professionally repaired. Mechanical work, just like collision work, can be done very poorly or very well. And the examples that we've been seeing lately, probably due to the cost of vehicles and the cost of labor, is such that these vehicles will come back with rebuilt titles, but the work was very professionally done. And this car is got probably quite a few years in front of it to service another owner very well. I don't like seeing all this tire butter on the tires. Over time, it softens the rubber on the sidewalls. I wouldn't say that there is a strong documentation of sidewall failures on these, but you can feel the rubber over time, how it becomes softer and softer. I've seen that more on muscle cars and classic cars that get stored, where they just keep getting wiped down, and the tires are 10, 20 years old. But still, I don't like to see that. So I recommend to the prospective buyer, don't keep adding that tire shine to the tires. We don't like to see that. But otherwise, no other systems came back concerned, no leaks, no drivability issues, no on the highway test, on the road test, the neighborhood test, street test, no concerns with the interior, no concerns on the code scan, no concerns on the underbody that we could see that wasn't documented on the collision, no concerns in the engine bay. It was very clean and clear, no problems with leaks or no smells. So I am very pleased to be able to give this car a clean bill of health, even with the collision damage that has been documented. Thank you very much.